Hi, I'm certified life coach DeJuan J of the High Vibrations Only platform. What you're about to watch is an open coaching session that was actually filmed on TikTok. I pray that the information in the video that you're about to watch will inform, inspire, and ignite you to become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you're abreast of all future content coming from me. I'll see you in there. Let's go. In case you could not tell, I am amped today because we are continuing our series. We are continuing our series entitled My DMs Though. My DMs Though. Today is part 2. Last week we talked about having a doubting mindset. We talked about a distrusting mindset last week, and it's because of the DMs. It's because of the DMs, and what happens is that we feel some sort of pressure. When we start to build platforms, when we get on social media, we feel a pressure to always present our best self. We feel some sort of pressure to always present the alpha version of ourselves or the best version of ourselves. And this creates a false sense of pressure because if I don't look my best, then I won't go on live. Or if I don't have a haircut, then I put a hat on. If I don't put my makeup on, I can't take a compliment. If I can't put on, or if I feel bloated today, right? It creates these false doubts and these false narratives within ourselves. And today, I want to talk to you about my DMs. And today, DM actually, it actually stands for drained motors. It actually stands for drained motors today. What tends to happen is that we're in communication with people. Some of us read DMs, some of us don't read DMs. But whatever side of the coin you find yourself on, there is a reason that it makes you exhausted. There are times, issues, and situations in which people don't open them because they're exhausted with the narrative that is presented when they open them. Whether it's a narrative of objectivity, whether it's being looked at objectively, whether it's constantly being hit on, whether it's constantly being ridiculed, criticized about something, it makes people exhausted. So Today, I'd like to talk to you about drained motors. Asian kind, what's up? Welcome in. Because what happens is we take the mentality. We take what people are saying. We take the environment that we find ourselves in. We take these things and we look at these things as if they were the truth. And some of this is due to a lack of strong boundaries. Some of this is not considering the source of our information. Some of this is what is expected of us as social media personalities or what comes along with the platform. But today, we're going to dispel all rumors. We're going to dispel myths. We're going to get to a place. And we're going to get to a place at a time where we are considering the source of our information, considering the validity of the information, considering whether or not it is actually something that we have to work on, or is it irrelevant? A lot of the noise that we hear, a lot of the mentalities that we take from ourselves is a result of external pressure being applied to us that we didn't ask for. I know that a lot of women can attest to this. I know that some men can attest to this, where their DMs are being flooded with things that people think that they know about them. And it's exhausting. Our text message threads are full of things and thoughts, and if you fail to reply, then the person doesn't respect the fact that your emotional and mental and social battery is drained, and it adds a lot of pressure and stipulation upon us. But today we're here to break this down. Today we're here to break this down. There's something that we have to get inside of our mindset before we can move forward with today's conversation. The thing that we have to get into our mindset is that there is no such thing as a problem-free existence. There's no such thing. Problems, problems are only exchanged. There's no such thing as an absence of problems. There's only an exchange of problems. When we get to a place in where if you're single and you become married, you don't get rid of your problems. You only exchange them for another set. If you become a parent, you don't get rid of your problems. You only exchange them for another set. When you get a promotion, you don't get rid of your problems. You only exchange them for another set. And the same thing is true here. And I'd like to use social media as an illustration of how life actually works. Here on this very app, if you don't like the environment, then it's up to you to change your algorithm. If you don't like what you're seeing on your For You page, then you have to tell the app what it is that you want to see, on this app. If you don't enjoy the lives and the content that you're seeing, then you have to change the algorithm into what's being advertised to you. And the same thing is true mentally and emotionally. The same thing is true with our social interactions. If we don't like the way that we're being talked to, it's up to us to change the algorithm. If we don't like people sliding to us with cat calls, if we don't like people, yo ma, yo shorty, if you don't like this, then it's up to you to set that boundary to be talked to and handled with respect. There's no need to get exhausted. Friends, text us. Friends, DM us. Friends, send us videos. Friends, send us content. And if we don't like, then it's up to us to say, hey, I don't need to see this. I don't need to hear this. So why do we do it? Why do we do it? We get to a place where we feel social pressure. And the only thing that's happening is that we're draining our mental, emotional, and social battery. Why? Because we want to stay cool with the cool kids. We want to know or be in the know with those that spill the tea. We want to avoid things that we should avoid. So it's up to us to constantly seek information. We've locked ourselves in what's called a dopamine loop. Clinically speaking, let me throw my nerd hat on for a second. Clinically speaking, this is known as a dopamine loop. So what happens is that we post content wanting the likes. We want the shares. We want the reposts. We want to hope to go viral. Jerry, what's happening? We hope to go viral, but not realizing that the attention that we're craving, the attention that we're seeking is actually a setup. I tell people all the time, right? As a pro wrestler, as somebody who does life coaching, as an author, as a father, the more attention that you get, the more people you're going to disappoint. And here's the flip side of the coin. The more attention that you get, the more people you're going to disappoint. You're either going to disappoint your job, you're either going to disappoint your family, or you're going to disappoint the people that are calling on you to give you or wanting what it is that they want from you. So this is why it's so draining, because so many of us try and keep up a social calendar, a text message schedule. So many of us want to keep up so many things that we ultimately end up burnt out. We don't want to talk to anybody. We'd rather just soak in a bathtub with a book. Cool. Recommended. 10 out of 10. We'd rather go on vacation by ourselves. 10 out of 10. Recommended. We'd rather take ourselves out for dates and to the movies and to chill by ourselves, and saying to myself that I don't need any friends. Well, here's where it gets toxic. We can't allow our DMs to drain our social battery to the point, or drain our motor to the point that we start to push people and things away from us. The key here is getting the right kind of support, the right kind of friends, the right kind of relationship, the right kind of environment, the right kind of employment, the right kind of situation. Because if we don't do that, we become drained, and this is deadly to our destiny. This is poison to our purpose. This is going to put us in a place in which we are walking around angry, and that anger is going to align us to affliction. So here we are in this dopamine loop. We post the content. We want the likes. We want the validation. We want the thing to say, hey, this is what we're doing. You're doing good. This is a good piece of content. This is high quality, this, that, and the third, but we don't want what comes with it. And when it comes, Millie, what's happening? And when it comes down to us, we actually hope for, pray for, fast for, manifest obstacles. I just want open doors. You're asking for an obstacle. I just want an opportunity. You're asking for an obstacle. I just want to be accepted. You're asking for an affliction. And our DMs will fool us into thinking that the thing is sweet, thinking that everything is exactly the way that it's supposed to go. That we're well liked and we're popular and we're being received well and all of these things. But it takes our eyes away from what's really important. It takes our eyes away from purpose. It takes our eyes away from the destination. And when our eyes are not on the destination, we tend to let our guard down in regards to purpose. And this is a source of punishment. Pebbles, what's happening? Empress Empowerment is in the building. So if you take nothing else from anything that I said today, it's important that we break the dopamine loop. Let's go with the powers contributing to the live goal. It's important that we break this dopamine loop that we're in which we send, and the reception of another message or a reply or a heart up the screen or a repost or going viral, this feeds our dopamine. So we get dopamine when we send it and we get dopamine when we receive it. But here's the thing. Here's the problem that we have with that. If you live for people's approval, if you live for people's validation, if you live for people's acceptance, then you're destined to die by their rejection. When we engage and we want to become social butterflies, when we want to start to foster and cultivate and nourish relationships, what tends to happen is we fail to one, properly vet. Now, let me park here for a second. And tell you that when you're getting new friends, it's important to date your friends. Not as in, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. What I'm talking is, it's important to date your friends. It's important to hang out with your friends. It's important to get familiar with the family structure of your friends. It's important to get information and hang out, know your friend's origin story. If they're going to have any sort of impact on your decision making, the proper vetting will save you heartache in the long run. What tends to happen is that some of us have been so lonely that we'll accept the first friend that comes along. Some of us have been so dogged out that we accept the first nice gesture as a symbol of friendship. Some of us have been backstabbed so many times that the first person we see not holding a knife becomes our friend. And then months later, a year later, 2 years later, we find ourselves complaining about that very same friend because we didn't do the proper vetting. We didn't do what it was that we were supposed to do. We didn't do our due diligence. And at this point, it's because our DMs have made us think something that it wasn't. And now our motor is drained. Our motor to cultivate logic. Our motor to cultivate reasoning, our motor to set boundaries, our motors to use our voices, they become drained over time because the same situation continues to repeat itself. And it's all because we won't change the pattern. We'll go. Bless Daniela's in the building. What's happening, love? We won't go. We'll read and we choose to ignore. And it's here that I have to caution you that ignoring a message is the same as giving permission to be in your inbox. Why? Because there was no clear boundary set. There was no clear boundary set. So if you choose and you have somebody constantly in your inbox, Carmen, what's up? Welcome in. If you have somebody in your inbox, even if they're talking to themselves and you never open the message, when you look at it, you see the notification come across the screen, you're saying, I wish this person would just go away. Well, you didn't tell them. You didn't tell them. And we just finished a communication three-peat conversation in my morning lives where we were talking about communication. What are the roles and responsibility of each individual inside of effective communication? What does that look like? Right? It was a beautiful conversation. But what we fail to realize, or the lesson that should be taken from there, is that you don't have to listen to anything that you don't want to listen to. Crazy what they're contributing to the live goal. Let's go. Chris, what's happening? You don't have to listen to anything that you don't want to listen to. But my point here is for you to make a decision. It's even biblical. Right? I talked about this on last Thursday. And I talked about how even when Jesus came here, he looked at his disciples and he said, I came to bring a sword. Most people think that I came to bring peace, but I came to bring a sword that's going to tear mother from daughter, father from son. What I'm saying is you can't afford for anybody to be on the fence or ambiguous or unclear about anything that they say to you. Why? Because what people say to you is what you'll say to yourself eventually. What people say to you is what you'll say to yourself eventually. What I'm saying is that if people are constantly picking at your weight, if people are constantly picking at your height, if people are constantly picking at your intelligence level, if people are constantly saying these things to you, what happens is you start to try and beat them to the punchline of the joke in hopes to remove some of the sting that comes along with that. But ultimately, that becomes a character trait. The coaches, the therapists, the mental health advocates, the safe spaces on this very app will tell you to look out for negative self-talk. But where does negative self-talk come from? It comes from what other people are saying. When you're born, your mind is like a sponge, like a clean sponge, fresh out the pack. And the first thing that has to happen is we have to get it a little wet. Right. And then it can begin to soak up the things that are in its environment. So what is the first thing that you do when you're washing dishes? You pick up the sponge, you run it under the faucet, and then what do? You put the dish soap on the sponge. Why? Because you want the sponge to start off clean. Because if the sponge is clean when it starts out, then it can take away the dirt and not have to worry about being permanently damaged. But if the first thing that you use for the sponge is to clean up some mud, or if it's to dump it in some water, some dirty water that's on your floor, then that sponge is no good to your dishes. It's no good to your countertops. It's no good to your table. It's no good to anything that you want to clean or anything that you want to put your hand or mouth on. Why? Because it started out toxic. Well, here's what happens. We get hurt and we decide to put our sponge back in its package. But when we take it out again, the first thing that's introduced to us is very important. Which is why you can't hang around with people that don't talk positively. You can't hang around with people that don't speak life. You can't hang around with complainers. You can't hang around with people that are lazy. You can't hang around with procrastinators. Why? Because their DMs, their direct messages, either in the inbox, via text message, or in your ear, can drain your motor. It drains your motor of resilience. It drains your motor of strength. It drains your motor of high self-esteem and high self-worth. And you come to figure out, and eventually you start to ask yourself, how valuable am I? You know that you're an atmosphere changer. You know that you were created to make an impact and not just have an influence. You know these things. But what happens is the more that I hang around people that like to talk trash, the more I hang around people that gossip, the more that I hang around people who don't believe in the vision, the more that I hang around people who don't support, who don't speak life, who don't do anything to actively support anything that I have going on, the more that I hang around these people is the equivalent of me opening my guard, letting people in, and the first thing that I touch is dirt and not soap. We have to get to a place where we are operating We are adamant. We are assertive, aggressive, even at times about the boundaries that we set and the way that we're going to be talked to. We have to do it. We have to, because you owe it to you. You owe it to you, because if you allow other people to talk negatively to you, just like that sponge, if you're only taking in dirt, you can only spew out dirt. And the truth of the matter is that some people in this life, in this world, I know nobody in your circle. I know nobody in your circle, because we all have healthy boundaries here, right? All right. Nobody in your circle, but there's some people walking the face of this earth who've been taking dirt in for so long that when they start to open their mouth to speak, when they start to maneuver about life, and their deeds are even toxic and poisonous, but we're holding on to them. Why? Because at some point, their DM resonated with us. At some point, the message that they were spewing resonated with us. Some of us are holding on to people out of pity. Some of us are holding on to people out of a trauma bond. Some of us are holding on to people because of our ego won't allow us to let us go. How is it that you're staying in a toxic relationship when the marriage or the girlfriend, the courtship has been dead for years? But we hold on out of ego because we don't want to be marked as a failure. We hold on out of ego because we don't want what people have to say about us to be negative. We put on a cap on social media like everything is good inside of your household, when the minute that you click the off button, you're being punched in the face. Your heart is being stepped on. It's being kicked. Why? Because the direct message that you received from the time that you were a child is we don't quit. The direct message that you've been told in your early adult years is to have some resilience, have some thicker skin. And this is draining your motor. This is draining your motor. Sovereign, what's happening? There's problems that come along with having a platform. There's problems that come along with having a purpose. Right? There's no such thing as a problem-free existence. Okay. In life, you're either going to encounter a storm, a thorn, or a cross. A storm, a thorn, or a cross. Here's the difference. Storms are temporary. Storms will rain on your parade, and storms will make you believe that everything around you is bad. That everything around you will never go your way. It'll have you thinking that the universe is against you. It'll have you thinking that you put out bad karma. It'll have you thinking that you're not a good person. It'll have you thinking that you've done the worst. Storms will make you believe that you're not enough. Storms will make you believe that you're not qualified enough. Storms will make you believe that you're not worthy of anything and that nobody values anything that you have to say. And as a result, we take that and it's attempting to make us destroy ourselves. When a storm comes, it's temporary, right? You have the onset, then you have the eye, and then you have the end of the storm. So this is what it looks like when we encounter problem after problem, failed relationship after failed relationship. Why I can't get out of this depression loop that I'm in, why I can't get out of this anxiety loop that I'm in, why I can't get out of this self-esteem issue that I have, why I can't break these trust issues that I have, because storm after storm is hitting, but really it's the same storm, but the storm is designed to make you destroy yourself. Then we have thorns. In the Bible, it says, the Apostle Paul writes in the book of Corinthians, to stop me from becoming conceited due to surpassingly great revelation. And I know this is not Thursday. I know, but this is relevant. He says, to keep me from becoming conceited due to surpassingly great revelation, there was given me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to buffet me. Now, here's what happens. Right? We deal with the storm. That's temporary. A thorn is something that sticks with you, right? A thorn is something that it's usually a personality trait, right? It's usually something like, why can't I just? Now, the thorn is given to you to get you to quit. Storm's trying to convince you to destroy yourself. The thorn is given to you to try and get you to quit. Why? Because notice what he said in the first half of that sentence. He said to keep me from becoming conceited. In other words, he was winning. Here's what happens. A lot of us, we break a cycle. A lot of us come out of a relationship. A lot of us get a promotion. A lot of us buy the house, buy the car. We get the person of our dreams. A lot of us are in a winning season and we're wondering why it is that this thing continues to bother me. Why am I still plagued by the same thing? Notice that you're winning. But the thorn is given. And Paul says that the messenger of Satan was sent to buffet him. Now, if you go back and translate to the Greek, buffet means to strike over and over. Let me explain something to you. Your DMs will drain your motors, right? But this is what happens. There has to be a message sent to you to test your resolve. This is how it's finalized. This is how we get to the place where we have no doubt. Yeah, Kirby, that's what it means. Listen, I don't know, right? But it says that it was sent to buffet him. In order, it's going to strike him over and over. So when he goes to sleep, it's going to strike him. When he wake up, it's going to strike him. If he does right, if he does wrong, it's going to strike him. So if that's the case, and you are given this thing, and it's going to continue to strike you over and over, why not continue to go forward? If there's no such thing as a problem-free existence, then I have to deal with these problems accordingly. I can either go back to where I was and I'm going to have to encounter this thing again. I can stay where I am and continue to be hit with no progress, or I can continue to march forward. We're in a place where our motors can't afford to be drained. Why? Because the only way through a problem is to go through the problem. It's time out for who likes me. It's time out for who thinks that I'm cool. It's time out for who thinks that I look good. It's time out for who thinks that my opinion is valid. I don't have time to placate to other people's desires. And this is what our DMs do to us. They placate to our desires. Even the people that are in our DMs attempting to holler, right? They like something that you did, but in order to keep their attention, you're going to have to continue to placate to what it is that they like. But you don't have time to do that, because if I'm so concerned about what Steve, Johnny, James, and Jack think about me and what it is that they like, when do I have time to be myself? When do I have time to focus on me? When do I have time to work out my own problems? When do I have time to get myself to a place where I can show up to as the best version of myself? Why? Why is this necessary? Because I owe it to myself to show up as the best version of myself. What does this mean? This means that I'm in alignment with my assignment. Danielle, what's happening? When I show up as the best version of myself, it means that I am in alignment with my assignment. I have to realize how beautiful I am as a person. I have to realize how I was fearfully and wonderfully created. I have to realize that I have a purpose on this planet, and that purpose is to solve a problem that wasn't previously solved. It's that important. Out of 9 billion people on the planet, there's something that you can do that nobody else can do. I close every live with that for a reason, because it's a statement of fact. So if this is the case, and I'm responding to my DMs, the truth of the matter is that those direct messages, whether they're on the screen, whether they're in my ear, whether they're in front of my face, whether it's over the phone, those direct messages are draining my motor, because it exhausts me to attempt to be somebody or something that I'm not. It drains me to have to be on all the time. It drains me to have to be the object of someone's fetish all the time. It drains me to have to be the social media influencer all the time. Sometimes I just want a pizza. Sometimes I want a big bowl of Fruity Pebbles. Sometimes I want to go out and have the tequila. What I'm saying is that anytime that we allow the DMs to cause a DM, it's going to cause me to miss my DM. In other words, anytime that I allow the direct message, Kai, what's happening? Anytime I allow the direct message to drain my motor, I'm going to miss out on my divine mission. These problems, they come with five key things that people think are cool. right? We set up a social media platform and we want to become influencers, right? We want to make an impact. We want to have a voice. We want to just kick it. We want to distract ourselves from lives. But anytime that we have a platform, we have to encounter these 5 things. Step number 1, or the thing number 1 is influencers or social media personalities can be subject to abuse and horrible comments. Avon, what's up, my boy? They can be subject to abuse and horrible comments. Again, here's where it's important for us to consider the source of the information. What role did you play in my life? What investment have you made in my dream? What investment have you made in my purpose? What investment have you made to me becoming the person that I've become today? Because the chances are I've lived my life 38 years on this planet and I've never met you. So therefore, why should I put stock into what it is that you have to say? But a lot of us want to clap back. A lot of us want to save face. A lot of us want to be the person that's not to be played with. A lot of us want to be the person with a reputation for not taking any nonsense when the most spiritual thing that we can do when we encounter a comment like that is pray. The most spiritual thing that we can do for some folks is ignore them. The most spiritual thing, the biggest thing, ignore. Why? Because not only have we taken time away to give attention to the DM, but now we're taking time away from something that is more productive. Why? I'm supposed to be focusing on purpose. I'm supposed to be in prayer. I'm supposed to be in the word. I'm supposed to be reading. I'm supposed to be writing the business grant. I'm supposed to be recording a podcast episode. And now I'm busy looking at what this person has said, and it's causing me to have to draft a comeback. It's causing me to have to want to save face. It's causing me to want to save my reputation, when the truth of the matter is that anytime that a person lives rent free inside of my head, anytime a person has distracted me from my destiny, anytime someone has made my future look futile due to me responding to their comments, anytime that anybody has pushed me to the point of me wanting to fight, my purpose is now in prison. I've handcuffed myself to my cell phone. I've handcuffed myself to my reputation. I've handcuffed myself to my platform. I've handcuffed myself to my own ego. And because my ego is elevated, how can your purpose be exalted? If your ego is inflated, right? Because you just have to say something to these people. If my ego is inflamed because I just need closure. If my ego has gotten out of hand because I'm not the person to take that. This kills your imagination. This puts you in a place where you can't exercise empathy, grace, and compassion. It's ironic how we want these things. It's ironic how we pray for these things. It's ironic how we want people to give these things to us, but our ego gets in the way when the offense comes in our direction. Offense opens the door to unforgiveness. Unforgiveness leads to incompletion of purpose. And incompletion of purpose leads to frustration. Frustration leads to us fighting ourselves because we have a lowered sense of self. We have a lower self-esteem, a lower self-awareness. And the next thing you know, we got a problem with God. The next thing you know, we think that the world is against us. The next thing you know, we have abandonment and trust issues. The next thing you know, we're prejudging everybody that we come in contact with. All women are trash. All men are trash. Oh, this is a black and white thing. Oh, this is an America versus everybody else thing. This is a northern versus southern. No, these issues aren't regional. They're not racial. These are people issues. These are ego issues. Why? Because the DMs have drained my motor. My direct messages has drained my motor. What's the key? The key is getting people around you that speak life into you. The key is getting people, oh, bro, what's happening? The key is getting people in your support system that are going to hold you accountable and stop you from flying too close to the sun. Sovereign with the subscription. Let's go. The key is getting to a place where our starting five, right? I've had some friends. It's been like, yo, D, you was tripping. You know that thing that you did over there when you said that one thing? Yeah, you was up. And I had no choice but to take it because they were right. Because I knew that they were speaking from love. Why? Because I put them in position from a place of love. Birdie, what's happening? Jad, what's happening? I put them in position from a place of love. Here's the thing. When you don't have a solid support system around you, right? When you don't have a solid support system around you, then you're allowed to fall for anything, right? If you lock yourself in an epistemic bubble, if you lock yourself in an echo chamber, if you surround yourself with yes people, if you surround yourself with people that are going to fluff your ego, if you surround yourself with people that are always talking negatively, if you're always surrounding yourself with people who won't support the business, who are always asking for the family and friends discount, if you're always surrounding yourself with people that are questioning, asking you why at all times, these direct messages then drain your motor. And this is what's going to cause you to miss your divine mission. You're subject to it, right? Having a social media platform, but here's where barriers and boundaries come into place, right? We just finished talking about changing the algorithm, but now it's time to set up the filters. If I don't like the color red, I can tell this algorithm to hey, don't put red on around me. If somebody says red in the chat, it's gonna filter them. I don't even have to see it. So if we can push the button to do this, why can't we do this in our personal lives? Why can't we do this when it comes to our pursuit of purpose? Why can't we do this when it comes to our pursuit of prayer? Why can't we have the same discipline? Oh, I get it. Because the messages come to real life, but when I'm on social media, I want to act different. I'm talking to somebody right now. When I'm on social media, and when I put this wig on, when I put this cat eye on, when I put my little halter top on, I become a different person. So even though the results affect me in real life, I don't have to act like this is real life. And this is why it's important for us to filter the information. It's important for us to filter who has access to us. It's important for us to be able to control who speaks into and over your life. Okay. All right. This is not Thursday. I ain't gonna preach it, but I feel something Baptist pushing me on that one. Let me explain something to you. But because here's what happens, right? Here's what happens. Everybody, you can come on this app and you can be whoever you want to be. You can come on this app and represent yourself as whatever you choose to represent yourself as, right? I can't tell you how many fake therapists and coaches I've run across on this very app. Shots fired today. I can't tell you how many people that claim to love God. Let me not. I can't tell you how many people who on Monday and Tuesday, they got the Bible open and they're on their platform reading the Bible. I give them a follow. I check back on Thursday and it's okay. All right. Right. I can't tell you how many times people will be like mental health advocates. This is a safe space, but they're the leading source of gossip on the app. In other words, anybody on here can be anything that they choose, and all we have is their word to go off of it, right? Last Thursday, I just preached. I talked about bearing fruit, but because what's in your head will come to your heart, and what's in your heart will be produced in your hands. In other words, what I'm saying to you is that when it comes down to us setting boundaries and barriers, I have to be extremely careful of who I allow to impact my decision making. I have to be extremely careful of who it is that I allow to speak into my life. I have to be careful of who I allow to speak over my life. I have to be careful of who I allow to say anything to me that's going to violate anything that goes on around me. Why? Because my peace is too important. My purpose is too important. My destiny is too important. Where I'm trying to go is too important to be distracted. It's too important for me to allow your direct message to contradict my direct message. And now I have a distrustful mindset. Now I have a doubting mindset. Now I have a doubting mentality. And this is what's draining my motor. So when it's time for me to actually do the work, I don't have enough energy to do the work because I've been fighting the battle mentally when I didn't have to fight it in the first place. Oh, y'all better come get me. I feel this thing. What I'm trying to articulate, the point that I'm trying to make is that if we not friends, if I don't consider you family, then you can't message me. Because you can choose to be anybody on this app, there has to be a vetting process that takes place. I need to see fruit. I need to see fruit. What are you holding? What are you holding? I could put DeJuan J, PhD behind my name until somebody asks me to see my doctorate. I can put DeJuan J, Magic Mike behind my name until somebody asks me to dance. I can put next biggest American Idol behind my until somebody asks me to produce fruit. So why then? Why then are we in a place where we are allowing people to say what they want to and we accept it as the gospel? Why then are we allowing the source of toxic information to impact how it is we see and view ourselves? Why then, Minister Daniel, what's happening? Why then am I allowing somebody who has no credibility? They've produced no credentials, nor are they bearing any fruit towards anything that they're saying. Why then am I allowing them to hold so much weight? Why am I allowing them to live rent-free inside of my head? Why does their direct message get through? But when I was created, y'all better come get me. When I was created, I was given a direct message. When I started to walk in purpose, I was given a direct message. When I started to realize who I was given a direct message. So how is it that I could live for 38 years of my life, walking this planet? I've never met this person in my life. And all of a sudden, what they say outweighs what I've been told already. What they say outweighs. Okay. Let me find something safe to do today. Here's the thing, right? I can come on this app and be anybody that I want. But if I can create a persona here, what's stopping me from doing it in real life? It's the fact that I'm on here. And here's why the type of direct messages that you're getting can drain your motor. This is why it can cause the trust issue. The thing is, I'm too busy. I'm too busy worried about what's said on social media. I'm so busy worried about what's said on social media that I forget to save my salvation. I'm so worried about what the characters on the screen say that I forget that I'm a Christian. I'm so worried about the direct messages that I forget about my divine mission. I'm so concerned with what people see of me. I'm so concerned with being validated from people that I've never met, that I forget about the will of the one who formed me before I was in my mother. Okay, listen. Let me, y'all better come get me. I feel this right here, because what happens is that it continues to happen over and over and over and over again. It continues to happen over and over and over and over again. And then what happens is because somebody couldn't get over what I said to them in 2020. Somebody couldn't get over what I did to them in 2020. I've asked for the forgiveness. I've prayed. I've got the forgiveness for the Father. I asked them for, and they can't get over it. And what happens is they continue to bring these incidents to my DMs until they become an identity trait. I start to believe that I'm not worth saving. I start to believe that I have no value. I start to believe that I have nothing constructive to add to the rest of the world. I start to believe that my purpose is invalid. I start to believe, watch this, that I misheard God. I start to believe that he's not hearing me. I start to believe like I'm out of position and I'm out of pocket, but it's all because I allow my direct messages to drain my motor. And when my motor's drained, it causes me to miss out on my divine mission. It's amazing. It's amazing what DMs will do to you. It's amazing the type of hype that we buy into. It's amazing. It's staggering. It's sad. Why? Because we'll be in church on Sunday singing "On Christ the solid rock I stand." But the minute that somebody gets sassy with us, we forget that we're saved. I'm so busy worrying about tearing down somebody else's Okay, let me not throw these shots out here today. Listen, no, I gotta say this. I'm so busy worrying about tearing down somebody else's platform because we have a difference of opinion, because we don't interpret things the same way. I'm so busy worrying about tearing these people down that I forget what my own assignment was. Why? Because I'm angry. Why? Because I'm out of alignment. Why? Because I misunderstood the assignment when I first got it. Why? Because I wasn't praying like I should have. I wasn't in the word like I should have been. I wasn't exemplifying the very things that I come on social media and cap and says that I am. And now I have nothing to do but destroy. Stop it. There's no chaos in God. There's no chaos in purpose. There's no chaos in division. There's no chaos. Even if we're in two different places and we're headed, you have a vision, I have a vision. You have a destination, I have a destination. And we're traveling on the same highway, right? I have to accept where you are, even if I disagreed with you. I have to first understand where you are. It's easy. It's easy for me to sit behind a keyboard and talk. Okay, all right. It's easy for me to sit behind a keyboard and talk trash. It's easy for me to send a DM because I'm nothing but an avatar on this social media app. It's easy for me to tell you what you aren't doing right when I don't own any mirrors. When I refuse to look in my own reflection, it is easy. It's easy. Yeah, that's alignment right there, brother. It's easy. Why? Because what happens is that we're mighty. We're warriors in public, but we're wimps in private. People who slide into DMs with messages of destruction, with messages of doubt, with messages of destroying dreams and causing division in the matter of purpose. You're a coward. And I don't even know how I got over here, but you're a coward, right? Here's why. Because the truth of the matter is that you come on here and you go so hard for. You come on this app and you go so hard for God because you're trying to figure out why he's punishing you, but it's because you're not in alignment. It doesn't matter how many tongues you speak. Okay. All right, let me just move. It doesn't matter how many tongues you speak in. It doesn't matter how much you tithe. It doesn't matter what your church attendance looks like. It doesn't matter how many gospel songs you don't know or know. It doesn't matter if you can quote the scripture like the back of your hand. It does not matter if all of these things are done in an attempt to cover up the hypocrite that you are in your private life. It does not matter. And I refuse to allow your direct messages to drain my motor to cause me to miss my divine mission. I refuse. We have to get to a place where we're setting up barriers and boundaries as to who has access to us. Because here's the thing. Agape love is freely given. Right? Agape love is freely given. Just because you're a creation like I'm a creation, you get that. But Eros love, right? Eros love, you got to earn that. You have to earn that. And what happens is that we allow people to vex us. Right? We allow people to annoy us and wear us down. We want to be accepted so bad that we go along with the first people or the first person that doesn't disagree. But let me put this to you just like this. Just because something isn't bad doesn't make it good. Just because something isn't bad doesn't make it good. We talk about it, right? We talk about it in the Bible, right? The Bible says that when God allowed Moses to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, the Bible literally says that he could have taken them through Philistine. But going through the wilderness was better. Why do I bring that up? Why do I say that? I say that because the people were out there losing their minds, going wild, and they were thinking they were actually in a good place. They thought that they were in a good place because it wasn't bondage. And the reason, okay, all right. The reason that this happened was because they would have encountered battle going through Philistine, and some of them would have ran back to bondage. And this is what happens, right? This is what happens with people who have access to us that don't want to see us grow. What tends to happen is they constantly remind you, hey, don't forget that you had a baby out of wedlock. Hey, don't forget that you had that abortion. Hey, don't forget that you used to be a thief. Hey, don't forget that you used to. And these people, these are battles. And these battles are representative of the storms that I was talking about earlier. They're trying to get you go back into bondage. But just because it's not bondage, it doesn't make it better. And just because it's not bad doesn't make it good. But what happens is when people start to commentate, when people start to spectate, they start to look at what you're doing. They start to telling you, girl, if I was you, I would not. Man, if I was you, let's go contributing to the live goal. If I was you, I wouldn't. Yeah, but you're not. This journey has to be me. This journey was meant to be. I was called for it, and you weren't at the meeting. You weren't at the meeting when I was receiving this assignment, so I can't allow you and your DMs to cause me to miss what the assignment was. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome. We're at a place now where we can even have the same mission, the same goal, the same identity. How dare you? How dare you sit idly by, breaking down the Bible, claiming to be a Christian, and you're more concerned with whether or not women can preach than you are with the souls being won to the kingdom? How dare you? Oh, okay, let me just. We have to control. We have to control who has access and whose voice we're actually listening to. Bible says, my sheep know me. They know my voice. They will follow. Right? In other words, oh, that spoke to somebody right there. I feel that. We're concerned about the wrong things, but this is what our DMs do. This is what having a drained motor will do to you. It'll cause you to focus on the wrong things. Right? When you go on a long road trip, right? We all claim that we're on some sort of journey. I'm on a journey to get closer to God. I'm on a journey for my purpose, journey for self-discovery, healing journey, rediscovery journey. Everybody's on a journey. But the steps to be prepared for the journey are the same. Did you change your tires? Did you check them? Did you have them balanced and rotated? Why? Because you're going to need something solid to roll on. Okay. Did you put enough gas in the tank? Gas, God always supplies, right? Did you put enough gas in the tank? Did you change the oil? In other words, did you get a fresh set of anointing before you embarked on this journey? No. This is why we have drained motors. There's extra strain being placed on the vehicle of our journey, and this causes us to believe that we're further away. This causes us to believe like we're never going to get there. This causes us to believe that our problems in our lives are supposed to be a problem laden. This causes us to believe that God is not listening. This causes us to believe that our car and the vehicle is not going to get us there. Listen, anytime that there's a purpose given, there's also provision given. Every single time. But what happens with people who've lost their way, with people who, let's go with the live goal. What happens with people who've lost their purpose or lost sight of their purpose is they turn and they become pretentious. They turn like they know better than you. They turn as if your life is theirs. They turn as if you're the same hypocrite that they are. They turn as if you're the same toxic person that they are. They turn as if you're about the same life that you, but it's up to you to set the filters in place, to block out the comments, to block out the noise, to block out what it is that's being said to you, because if it's not done in love, it is not done of my Father. Okay, let me move. The next thing. When we engage or we listen to the DMs, what we're actually doing is we're limiting our potential. We're limiting our potential. Why? We get on social media and we build these platforms and we become influencers, and people come and we get a little crowd and we start to talk. But our emotions and how we feel and whether or not we're into it for that day is contingent upon the amount of people to show up, the amount of likes that we get, the amount of validation that we receive from certain places. And this is why I can't be focused on the direct message. I have to be focused on the divine mission. I have to exchange my DMs. Right? We get on here, right? And here's why it's important to not put stock here. This is a tool. DMs are a tool. They're a tool to connect you, right? Because, so for those of y'all that are new to my platform, I set my friendship up. I set my life and my relationships up like King Solomon's temple, okay? You got the outer court, you got the inner court, and then you got the holiest of holies, right? The holiest of the holies are like five, 6, 7, maybe people in this whole planet that can impact my decision making. I'll call you for advice. I'll go to you and ask, hey, what do you think about this? I'll take I'll accept your critiques, right? The inner court are people who you might have my number. We may exchange some text or some memes or something like that. But then the outer court are people we're just casual and you're relegated to the DMs. But what happens is that anytime that we put too much stock into apps like this, anytime we put too much stock into social media, we allow people from the outer court to move out of position to the inner court. And now people who don't even know you are impacting the way that you make decisions. People who haven't put time in are impacting the way that you make decisions. People who weren't there for the struggle are impacting the way that you make decisions. People who weren't there when you and God had the meeting, when you discovered what your purpose was, they weren't there. But because we don't have the proper boundaries in set, because we don't have the proper filters in place, those direct messages get through sometimes more than the inner court or more than the holiest of holies. Why? Because it's more people. Why? Because this person has a bigger following. Why? Because this person has people who validate their claim to being whatever it is that they are. Why? Jada, what's happening? Why is it? Why is it that we're allowing people to recreate their positions without our permission? How is it that there's whispers that happen in the holiest of holies? There's whispers. Yo, D, man, you might want to chill. You might want to chill, D. Right? These whispers are happening there. So how is it that I can hear somebody yelling from the outer court better than I'm hearing somebody that can whisper to me? Why? Because ego has gotten in the way. Why? Because pride has gotten in the way. Let me explain to you. I'll prove it right now. Here we go. We get to a place where somebody has seen us struggle. We get to a place where somebody has watched the come up. They've watched the acceleration happen. And now we've gotten to a certain place, right? This happened. This is biblical too, right? Abram and Lot, right? This is what happened. This is what happened. Lot's stock was growing. Abram's stock was growing, right? And what happened was they had to separate because they were both at a place, and there had to be an adjustment made because if they did not separate, then there was going to be a problem. There was going to be a problem. And here's what we have to do. We have to get to a place where if the people around us aren't checking us, if the people around us aren't keeping us humble, eventually our ego gets out of control. And now I look at you, what I once thought was wise counsel, I look at you as being a hater. What I once thought was constructive criticism, I now look at you as an op. What I once found valuable, I have now devalued. And this is what happens. And we allow people to recreate positions in our lives without our permission. Why? Because we stop valuing the people that were close to us. We take their presence for granted. And a lot of us, quite frankly, do the same thing to God. A lot of us, quite frankly, do the same thing to those that love us most. A lot of us, we take people's presence for granted because they've always been there. So we just count it as another thing. Oh, they're going to be there. Oh, they're going to do this. Oh, they're going to do this. No, this is not what waking up with gratitude looks like. This is not what, let's go, contributing to the live goal. This is not what waking up mindful feels like. This is not the way that we're supposed to wake up. When we pray, when we plot out the vision board, right? This has to be done not from a place of pursuit. This needs to be done from a place of attraction. I need to be operating at my highest vibrational level. I need to be operating in a position of being able to receive these things. Let's go, contributing to the live goal. I need to be operating from a position of being able to receive these things. Why? Because if I'm chasing these things, it tells me that I'm not ready. It tells me that I'm not ready for it. It's not that God won't bless you. It's not that the karma or you what. It's not that it won't. It's just you not ready. It's crazy how many people walk around here mad at God. Right? You're like, God, I need a miracle. He's like, you need better management. And what happens is anytime that we mismanage what it is that we have, no belief system on the planet is going to get you anything. You don't need a miracle. You need better management. Yeah, put that in a point. Why? Why is it that I have to manage, right? Here it is. I can't have the right people talking to me if I can't filter out the wrong people. The ear can only take in so much information. The eye can only take in so much information. So if that's true, then it's important that I set the filters around me of who has access to me. Why? Because if I don't, then my ear and my eyes are filled with the wrong thing and I can't hear the person that's actually trying to help. I've married myself to hindrances instead of people that can help. I'm in covenant and contract with an agent of chaos. Boom, you clog the gates. Put that in a point. If you clog the gates, the good can't get through. And same thing is true. The same thing is true. We see it day in, day out. We hear it day in and day out. People come, hey, I need prayer. I need this, I need this, and I need this, and I need this, and I need this. Okay, cool. You're wanting purpose to take a step towards you. You wanting God to take a step towards you. You wanting these things to take steps towards you. But what steps are you taking towards it? What steps are you taking towards your goal? What have you done to aid yourself in this cause? Rena, thank you for the follow. The truth of the matter is we want the house on the hill. We want the picture perfect life. I told you already, there's no such thing as a problem-free existence. You either get the thorn, the storm, or the cross. The thorn, the storm, or the cross. Because the cross is, those are the problems that you choose to have. Right? Those are the problems that you choose. Why? Because you value calling over comfort. You choose to pick this up as a byproduct of what it is that your assignment is. So when you find your purpose, you're choosing to pick up a set of problems. The storm is temporary, but it's going to cause you to destroy yourself, or it wants you to destroy yourself. The thorn, it sticks with you because it wants you to quit. But the cross is something that I control. I'm going to pick this up. Yes, it's heavy, but I know that I'm adding value. Yes, I got splinters in my back, but I know that I'm marching towards purpose. Yes, I'm carrying this thing by myself, but I know that I'm breaking a generational curse as a result of this. I know that my children are going to be taken care of as a result of this. I know that the world is becoming a better place. So I'm going to choose to carry this set of problems. So stop wishing for a problem-free existence. There's no such thing. We need to pray for broader shoulders. We need to pray for bigger legs. We need to pray for more resilience to carry the cross that I'm choosing to carry, vice the ones that's being brought to me by my DMs. See, only storms and thorns come through DMs. But once the direct message is actually a divine mission, now I'm able to carry it up. Now I'm able to walk and grow, not weary and well doing. Now I'm able to soar on the back of an eagle. I have energy for days to carry out what the divine mission is. Why? Because I'm in control and my value system has changed. Why? Because I'm no longer listening to the yo ma. I'm no longer listening to you're sexy. I'm no longer listening to dang. I'm no longer listening to these things, and I'm listening to for God so loved the world. Now I'm listening to you are fearfully and wonderfully created. Now I'm listening to speak those things that be not as though they were. Now I'm listening to we are not ashamed. Now I'm listening to once the DMs change, my vision of myself changes. My value of myself changes. And as a result of that, I become more vigorous. But I have to change who has access to me. Having access to me is not a right. It's something that comes with responsibility. Love is a verb. Love is a verb. You get agape love by nature of being God's creation. But this eros love, where I'm actually contributing, right? Where I'm actually putting effort into the relationship, where I'm actually concerned about what it is that you have to say, where I'm actually considering the advice that you offer me. This comes with effort. It's easy to be my friend when we're at happy hour. It's easy to be my friend when we're at the club. It's easy to be my friend when it's your birthday. It's easy to be my friend when you cheated on your wife and you need to sleep on my couch. It's easy to be your friend when I needed to use you as a cover story for the girls trip that I took when I was doing all sorts of things. It's easy to be my friend when you're telling me what I want to hear. But what about when I need you? What about at 3 o'clock in the morning when I've cried my Shiseido out? What about when my wig don't fit no more? What about when the Beijing is running through my beard? What about when nobody else will hold me? What about when I'm ready to swallow a bottle of pills? What about when I got the pistol to my head? What about then? Can you be my friend then? Because now, see, what I'm doing is all of the laughs, the bond that we built, the joke, the banter that we built, right? This was all an investment. But when I need you, when I'm at the lowest of lows, and I need somebody to remind me of who I am. I need somebody to remind me of whose I am. I need somebody to put me back on the path of purpose. Now we're talking about the return on the investment. Now we're talking about the return on the investment. Now we're talking about course correction. Now we're talking about constructive criticism. Now we're talking about telling me that now is not the time, but we're doing it inside of love. This is the return on the investment. Don't tell me that you got me if you don't got me like I got you. My friends pray for me daily. The people that I love, the people who get Eros love are prayed for daily. The people who get Eros love are corrected when they need to be corrected. The people with Eros love correct me when I need to be corrected. The people with Eros love won't allow me to fly too close to the sun. The people with Eros love will pick me up. They'll give me that Moses experience when my arms are too tired. They'll hold them up for me. They'll bring me the stone. It takes effort. What fruit are you bearing? How is it that you got from where you were to where you are? How is it that I can hear it just doesn't make any sense. That somebody can scream louder and you hear them more clear than you hear the whisper of the person in the same room with you. How is it that my DMs, my direct message is being construed? It's like the biggest game of telephone that I've ever played in my life. Why? Because I read the direct message or I read the text message or I hear it, right? But because I don't know you and because you don't know me, you don't know how to package it and I don't know how to receive it. My God, did you hear what I just said? What happens is the sender and the receiver of the message have to be on the same page. We have to be on the same frequency. Otherwise, the sound gets discombobulated. So what happens is because you don't package it the right way, I don't receive it the right way, and neither one of us are asking for clarity because we're unfamiliar with one another. And because we're unfamiliar, this direct message is draining my motor, and this is going to cause me to miss my divine assignment. My divine mission. This is what happens when the DMs go to the DMs and they cost me my DMs. That's nasty. That is nasty. Here are some of the symptoms. Here's some of the symptoms. Here's how you know that you're listening or that you're reading the DMs wrong or that you're listening to the wrong DMs. It's exhaustion, loneliness, boredom, the loss of connection, the loss of interest, and the loss of value in whoever's talking to you. Exhaustion. You're tired. Everybody's got that one friend. They're texting you. The phone's going to light up. Boom. For me, it's anybody with a green text bubble or somebody who says grand rising to me. I'm just like, God. Those things force me into prayer, right? I'm just like, I do not have the energy necessary to be a decent human being to deal with this situation right now. I'm joking. But the exhaustion, right? We all have. But seriously, on a serious note, though, right? We do have. We do have those people who they're always complaining about something, right? The people who you told that woman to leave that relationship 6 years ago, and she's still there. When they text you, when they message you, it's exhausting. There's people on this very app who hit every Christian live, who hit every mental health live, asking for the same thing, and sometimes they'll slide in the DMs and you see it and you're just like, I don't know. Right. But then what happens is those people drain your motor. So then you end up pushing everybody else away. And now you're lonely. And you don't necessarily trust anybody else that you come in contact with because everybody else has burned you. So now we're walking around with a trust issue to deal with because my motor is drained. Right. And then because you're lonely, you become bored. And when you become bored, here's the first step of stepping out of alignment. This is heavy. Are y'all ready for this? So you're exhausted, so you push people away. Okay. Then you become lonely. And because you're lonely, you're bored. It's biblical. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Right. So what tends to happen then is you start to find things to entertain yourself. You start picking up the phone when you get DM'd at 10:30 at night, asking for a Netflix and chill session. You get bored of having an empty bed, so now anybody can fill it. You get bored of not having a boo thing, so you end up on a vacation with somebody else's man, and you can't even post the whole person in there. You only got to post a hand in there. Right? You get bored. So instead of focusing on purpose, instead of writing the grant for the business plan, instead of focusing Instead of focusing on instead of focusing on going to get that doctorate degree like you've been telling everybody, instead of hitting your knees and praying and asking for what your assignment is actually supposed to be, instead of spending time getting to know the actual word of God, instead of doing this, we find dumb things to do. And when we make dumb decisions, we find ourselves in desperate situations. And when we find ourselves in desperate situations, we find ourselves missing out on what we're supposed to be doing. And now here comes the regret. Here comes the depression. Here comes the anxiety. Here comes the feeling of I've wasted half my life. Here comes is there any more purpose left in me? Here comes all of the negative thoughts. And now you go back to your DMs and everything that was said in there seems like it's true because we have climbed the ladder. Because you're bored and you find yourself in a desperate situation out of decisions that you made out of boredom, we find ourselves with a loss of connection and a loss of interest. I can't relate to what it was or who you are, right? Jesus was in there, right, preaching. His brothers and his mother showed up. What did he say to him? They said, Jesus, your mother and brother are outside. They want to come in and have a seat. He looked up and he said, who is my mother and who is my brother? Those that do the will of the Father. In other words, people can't ride in my car, right? You can't access my inbox if we have nothing in common. Just because we're related, it doesn't mean that we're relative. That's nasty. I'm about to break that down. Put that in a point. Just because we're related, it doesn't mean that we're relative. Right? Blood says we're related. But spiritually, we're not related. I can't relate. Blood says that we're related. Mentally, I can't relate. Blood says we're related. But emotionally, I can't relate. So it's for this that I'm going to have to relegate you back to the outer court, and you're going to have to work your way back in here. Stop allowing people in your inbox and in your ear to sit in front of your face that have a sense of entitlement. This is the real pandemic, is the sense of entitlement, right? People who have everything feel entitled, and people who have nothing feel entitled. My God. The sense of entitlement is the actual pandemic. Why? Because the minute that you start to set a boundary, they start to remind you of everything that they've done for you. The minute that you set a boundary, they start to remind you of what it was like when you had nothing. The minute that you set a boundary, girl, I used to change your diapers. Boy, I used to. No. Your entitlement is a result of your ego. Claudia, what's happening? Sarah, what's happening? Welcome in. If you sit in front of me with a sense of entitlement, that means that your ego has been too inflated and I can't hear what you're saying. I cannot relate to this, nor am I going to tolerate it. There has to be a filter. There has to be mechanisms put in place to put a barrier between you and me. We're gonna have to call over the phone. We're gonna have to get real familiar and reacquainted again. But just because we're related, it doesn't mean that I can relate to you. Stop throwing up. I don't care how many dirty diapers of mine that you've changed. I don't care how much money you invested into this business. It doesn't give you a sense of entitlement to my emotions, because my emotions are going to dictate my elevation. Why? Because what I care about, what I love, is where I'm going to spend energy. I told you, everything that you've ever needed in this life to succeed can be summed up with 3 letters: Eli, E-L-I, energy, love, and imagination. But if I'm allowing you to emotionally manipulate me, it's going to drain my motor. And as a result of my motor being drained, it's going to cancel some of the love that I have. And because I can't love the way that I'm supposed to, it's going to kill my imagination. And what that does is that's going to take away my empathy, my grace, my compassion, my ability to understand what's necessary. It's going to take away my ability to creatively problem solve, which means that I'm going to be stuck on a hamster wheel just like you. So do not come to my face with your entitlement. Do not come to my face with your emotional regulations. Check your ego or check yourself out. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 to this. I'm about to do a part 2 to this because there's a lot more here. Here's what causes it. Right. Here's what happens. I'm gonna give you 4 quick points, and then I gotta get out of here. There will be a part 2 next week, next Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There will be a part 2. Here, 4 quick causes that your DMs. Sovereign, thank you for pulling up, my guy. Hit me up. 4 quick causes. 1, the DMs are so effective because there's a lack of physical interaction. In other words, if I'm talking to you face to face, right, I don't have to worry about you draining my motor because I can read your body language. 91% of communication is nonverbal. Right, here's where you can see the folded arms, the scowl on the face, the tightness on the face. This is where all my friends with RBFs get into contact. This is why nobody talks to them, right? This is why everybody's afraid of them, right? Because 91% of communication is done non-verbally, right? Quick caveat, right? You can tell if a group of people want you to come in there, right? Yeah, 91%. So check this out. So if you're walking up to a circle of people and they're talking, and the person turns in to close the circle, they don't want you there. But if they expand and they start to look back, they want you there. They're communicating with you before you even get there. But what happens is, because we're bored, because we are lonely, because we're exhausted, what tends to happen is that we force our way into the circle, and then we're surprised when we're disappointed, frustrated, and hurt by people that didn't want us there in the first place. Right. You'll know. You can know if somebody's listening attentively to what you're saying, not because of what they're saying, because they can yes and amen you to death. Right. They can do this all day long. They can yep girl 100%. But if they're sitting with their arms folded like this, even if they're smiling, you'd be like. But if they're sitting with that means that they're closed off to what it is that you're saying, and they're just waiting for their turn to speak. 91%. And this is why people will slide into the DMs and say anything. This is why people text anything, because there's lack of a physical interaction, and as a result of that, there's a disconnect with repercussion. Right? There's the removal of repercussion. Number 2, DMs. There's no intimacy involved. Right? In other words, I can slide into your DMs and say what I want to because I don't have to deal with the emotional fallout. I don't have to deal with the emotional fallout. And as a result of that, I'll just throw all of this toxic stuff against the wall. And if I don't want to continue the conversation, I'll just block you, coward. If I don't want to work things out, then I'll just block you, coward. If I don't want to have the conversation with you, then I'll block you, coward. This is why it's draining. But let me talk to the people on the other side real quick. You do not need closure, period. You do not need closure from anybody else. Why? Why do we feel that we need this? Why? Because what happens is, anytime that you say that you wish someone gave you closure, it's because your ego is not done with the conversation. It's because, think about it. When you have these closure conversations, what happens? Does anything change? Does the status of the relationship change? Does it change the fact that you're going to break up? Does it change the fact that you're going to separate? No, it doesn't. You just need to get some stuff off of your chest, but they have journals for that. They have apps for that. They have direct messages for that. You do not need closure from anyone else. The next time you think that you need closure, go into that secret place. He that dwell in the secret place of the Almighty can dwell under the wing of the Most High. Right? Get into that secret place and begin to search for that peace that surpasses all understanding. Another human being can't close it off for you. They can't give you closure because they're not the people who opened the door. My God, they're not the person who opened the door. You did. The next thing. So you got lack of physical interaction. You got no intimacy. right? The third thing is more brain power is used for context. Here's why texting and DMs are so draining. Because the words themselves may actually be something that you dislike. They may be something that you dislike. And what happens is we spend more energy. We spend more energy attempting to figure out context because nobody really wants to see anybody in a bad light. So we want to try and paint the best picture possible. But truth of the matter is, let me free somebody today. That's not your responsibility to figure out the context. Your next question is, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? Why are you saying this to me? What do you mean by this? It doesn't make you lame. It doesn't make you not smart. It doesn't make you not quick-witted. It doesn't make you anything. It makes you a person that values peace. Because if you're using your brain to try and get context, the problem with that is that you're only viewing that through one lens. And that one lens is not the same lens that the sender sent the message through. So now it's up to us. Right, because what happens is that we will look at this and we'll try and see the best out of this person. And this often allows us to talk ourselves into being manipulated. That is nasty. That is nasty. We talk ourselves into being manipulated by attempting to see the best in people. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Reno. Psalm 91:1. And the last thing, I got to get out of here. There's going to be a part two. The last thing is the repetitive nature. The repetitive nature of it all. The repetitive nature is draining because we're angry at the sender for continuing to send the same thing. And then we're angry at ourselves for even giving out the number or the DMs, right? Or even allowing access to the DMs. But then we don't set the boundary. So instead of saying, hey, don't contact me anymore. Kiara, what's up? So instead of saying, don't contact me anymore, what we actually end up doing is allowing people to talk to themselves in our DMs. But check this out. The more DMs that you have, even if from the same person, the more it blocks up storage. My God, the more storage is taken up. Right. When you want to clear storage on your phone, the first thing that you should do is check and clear your junk mail. Why? Because this clears up storage space. The same thing is true on the app when we have to clear our cache. So even though you think that this person talking to themselves in your DMs is not really doing anything, it's just not doing anything immediately. But eventually you're going to need the storage space. Eventually you're going to need the space to store something that is healthy and beneficial for you. And you're not going to be able to do it because you refuse to close off. You refuse to set the boundary. You refuse to answer. Not answering is an answer. Questions, comments, and concerns, put them in the chat. Yeah, there'll be a part two. We'll do part two of these. Check this out. I'm gonna normally I reserve this for my Thursday page and my morning lives, but I feel like we should pray, and yeah. With all hearts and minds clear. I didn't see any questions come through here. So we're gonna pray real quick. I'm gonna close this out. Please go to the page, engage in some of the content, check out some of the merch that's there, right? Third book's on the way. 2 books out already. Got some merch, got some stuff up there, some fun little gadgets. Click the link to my YouTube page. All of the Thursday sermons are over on the YouTube page, as well as my first 2 series, Fit to Fight, as well as Trust the Transition, are over there for your viewing pleasure. Get engaged, get involved, man. Bring a friend next time. Let them know that we're over here and we're attempting to do the most good that we possibly can. With all hearts and minds clear from this conversation, let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this conversation today. We thank you for speaking to us, your people. We pray to be better listeners, better filters for what's allowed to actually enter into our DMs. Don't allow direct messages to cause us to miss our divine mission. Don't allow us to allow our ego to separate us. We're tired. We're exhausted. We're lonely, but we also recognize that we did it to ourselves. Help us to get out of our own way. Help us to operate under your hand of wisdom, your hand of guidance, your hand of protection, that we might hear what it is that we're supposed to hear and do what it is that we're supposed to do. Help us to be kingdom builders, kingdom advancers, and nothing more. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen. There are 9 billion people on the planet, but only one you. Nobody else is equipped with your mindset, with your perspective, with your mentality, with the way that you view things, with your boundaries and your barriers. And this makes you rare. And because you're rare, you're valuable. I love that for you. I love you for that. Take care of yourself. She want to hear it? Okay, I got you.